Welcome back, boys. My name's Quantum Tato, and this is Clean League of Legends, or so I wished. But unfortunately, I made a small mistake with my last video when I was recording. I accidentally turned off the mic during one of the shenanigans I was pulling off with my friends in the dorm, and I just never noticed, and then never turned the mic back on, so you just don't have audio for that. So instead of the normal video where I scream and act like a monkey, we're just gonna have a nice, calm replay analysis, play-by-play casting of what went down that day. Hope you guys enjoy. So just looking at the enemy team comp, our team is definitely much more team fight oriented. Well, I'm not particularly sure about like in terms of damage wise. Our ADC Ezreal certainly is more early game based. I've heard that Ziggs can scale very well into the late game given the range of his bombs and his general kit. I'm unsure about Galio and Singed and Warwick as I don't play them much. But based on their team, we actually were making fun of them for having so much like typical cancer heroes, Katarina, Tryndamere, Master Yi. So we were a little worried at the beginning of the game that we would get out of hand because cancer heroes tend to be difficult to play against sometimes, or just obnoxious. So now here I decided to put a ward in that bush just in case they decided to invade, but ended up being not necessary because the Warwick decided to just camp in the bush and we had a mid support on the way anyways. So typically, when I play support, which is not very often, I try to give the jungle as much of a leash as possible. Like I try to prevent them from having to use Smite on the first camp so that they can later use it and clear later faster. Especially if they want to go aggressive and go steal the enemy's buff. It's really important that they have Smite up when the enemy jungler doesn't. This does mean that I go to lane a bit later than usual, but it's usually okay because the support, it's not like the ADC, it doesn't really matter if I miss 1 or 2 CS, and especially since I got the, I don't know what it's called, like the Spell Thief Edge or whatever, that actually makes it not that bad that I miss a few CS because I'm not going to be around to get the gold anyways. It's not like Relic Shield or Ancient Coin. Yeah, so I was considering using my Q to help clear it faster, but I thought about it, and since our ADC in this game is probably not going to be as strong as I would have liked, I decided to save some mana for an extra Q or two. As you can see, I'm stealing CS already, but I wanted to sort of ensure that I could throw as many Qs and like try and preserve the lane's like balance in terms of damage and harass as much as possible. I really do think the Spell Thief's Edge is yeah, that was a pretty NA flash right there. Unfortunately, we weren't able to capitalize on her mistake because my early game I found is very weak in terms of aggression because I basically only have one Q, which is relatively hard to aim. It's not that high damage. I do have a right click, but it's also very slow. I would have liked to go in, but considering like the general equilibrium of the wave, as well as the damage potential of both these heroes and champions, and the skill of both players, I was unsure about their skill levels, so I didn't feel like going in. Here, I'm still unsure about how to lane against Katarina. I definitely took a lot of damage here, but I think I was able to proc the Thunderlords on her, and that was, as a result, the lane was relatively okay. And I predicted her retreat there, so I was able to get a good Q off. I really like the Spell Thief's Edge, as I was saying earlier, because my damage is mainly spell-based and right-click based, it's actually very helpful, especially with the gold gain. I can basically very consistently proc the effect where you get bonus gold. Now the one downside I would say about this item is that I do really like to take minions. Doing a little dance on top of the knife there. I do like to steal minions, especially when the ADC is not there. So this item actually, it loses a bit of effectiveness if you try to steal CS because it reduces the charge respawn time. But it's not really a big issue. And overall, I felt that this is the best item out of all of the support items. And to be honest, it's probably one of the best just for the caster types anyways. I might try Ancient Coin at some time because of the cooldown reduction and mana regen. but I don't think the upgraded shield will be that useful for Ziggs. I like the damage and gold provided by this item far more. At this point in the lane, what I'm trying to do is just land as many Qs as possible, because certainly we will be taking harass from the Katarina and the Vayne. So my main job here, rather than trying to CC or set up kills, is just to keep the HP levels of both sides about equal, or at least trying to get them lower than we are, is my ideal goal. So that if we do end up in an engagement, we can actually have a chance, so that we don't get poked down too much. Basically, counter poke is my job. I missed my Q there. I'm still trying to get used to the whole Q aiming mechanism, because the way it works is the hitbox for the explosion itself, like the bomb going off, is relatively small, but if it does go off, then the explosion radius is actually a bit larger, as far as I can tell. So there's actually some nuances with how to aim it. For example, you can aim at a creep knowing that the explosion radius will hit the ADC. See, like right there. So the main thing is, as we get closer to level 6, I want to save my W in case the Katarina ulties, because other than that, we have no CC, or hard CC. And so it's really important for me to have something to cancel her channel if we don't want to take a ton of damage. I missed my Q there. Yeah, as you can see, combined with the Ziggs right click, it's really great. It synergizes really well with the Spell Thief's Edge. So right here, I used my Q and my Ignite. Sorry, my W. I thought we could go in there, but unfortunately, we didn't quite have the damage. As you can see, my early game damage is really not that strong, but we did successfully get off a lot of harass on them. And this actually sets up a kill later, because the Katarina is forced to be healed by the Vayne. So for some reason, we healed as well, but I guess that just sets up the fight later. So we actually have a gank coming in from Warwick right here, and actually this is really good because right here I'm leveling up, so I get more damage on the Q. Oh, sorry, I must misremember. I thought we got a kill here, but I guess not. Basically, at this point, we have very good dominance in the lane. I believe something happens here. The Katarina gets a bit overconfident. Yes, she gets picked off right there because she's out of position. This is a pretty good start for us, even though we didn't get the kill, because she'll be behind, and basically our team's getting a bit more ahead in terms of gold and XP at this point. And overall, I'm feeling pretty good about this lane so far, because I've been feeling that I've been able to at least some extent outpoke the enemy, and I feel that my harass potential is much stronger than, I guess, just Ziggs and Ezreal in general. The poke potential is much greater than Katarina and Vayne, especially considering Vayne's lackluster damage early game. So in terms of early laning, I would say that as Ziggs, you want to really stay back and just try to get as much Qs off as possible, especially considering how I felt pretty squishy this game if they actually went on me, but I tried to stay very far back so they weren't really targeting me. I was actually aiming for the Vayne there, but I got some nice CS instead, which is always worth. Now the thing with the Q is I really do want to get it on the initial impact if possible, because when it bounces, it's very strange because it doesn't explode if it touches them on the bounce. It has to be on the ground, and there has to be someone in the AoE for it to go off. I'm not sure if I explained that correctly, but basically, if you don't get it on the initial bounce, the difficulty of hitting someone with it becomes much more dodgeable, essentially. So like right there, you want to aim directly for the initial AoE, if possible. Of course, if you're just going poking or long-range sieging, then it'd be much better for, it'd be very good to just go for the long-range bounces. And right here, you can see the Vayne's getting very low, and I'm getting ready to set up for my ultimate because I'm almost level 6. So of course I'm staying back, trying not to show too much aggression. You don't want to scare them off. That's very important. If you're trying to set up for a kill, you don't want to scare them off, because if they believe you can kill them, they will leave. The main thing is you need the element of surprise here. So I told my carries in Dribble level 6 to just directly ulti, because if you ulti both, if we use both our ultis, there's a much lower chance of being able to dodge both of them. Or also just unexpected to see both of them occur at the same time. So here I get an ulti, and I actually get a very clean 100% damage ult off right there. I got a little panic because the Katarina went on me, so I used the W to get off there. And actually she went back in for some reason, which was her mistake, and as a result we were able to get a clean double kill right there. Actually, it should have been Ezreal's kill, but she flashed and there was a minion in the way, so his Q didn't connect. Fortunately, I didn't have to blow my flash there. I could have ignited, but what happened was my auto attack actually bounced with her flash and ended up finishing her off. So nice double kill picked up by me on the bottom lane, and now I'm feeling really strong. At this point, once you get an early lead on Ziggs, basically your damage just becomes extremely strong, especially for a support, and the lane just becomes very imbalanced. Because once a support gets that much damage this early in the game, it's very difficult for them to fight you in terms of either poking or just straight up all-ins, especially since I still have both my summoners up. So at this point, I'm just feeling extremely confident in my ability to dominate the lane. I should have leveled up before I queued there. That was my mistake, but it's not a big deal. Right, so you can see one of my Qs just did that much damage to the Vayne, and it's very difficult basically for them to stay in the lane if they want to like farm at all. I missed my Q there. My ult's actually relatively low cooldown here. And basically if she jumps in here, we have very strong capabilities to just kill her right there. So whether it comes to poke or harass, we have strong burst and we have strong poke. So right now in this lane, I would say at this point we've already have a good chance of winning the game. Okay, so I was anticipating her blinking in to get some harass on the Ezreal, but they're relatively scared right now, and they don't want to jump in as recklessly, so I actually wasted my W there. Now, this is a window of opportunity for them because they know we have no hard CCs now if the Katarina wants to ult, but I would say that they feel relatively scared right now and don't want to go in, so it was okay. I was a little scared at that point when I didn't have my W. So right here again, we're using our double ultimates. I think I could have aimed my ultimate a little better. I aimed a little bit too close to her actual position. I should have, predicted a little bit of where she was going, especially since she was running away. But I did think she would juke back towards us because that's what I would have done. Although that would have probably, I don't know. I'm not a very good player, so it's unclear what I should have aimed for. But anyways, we're clearing the wave very quickly here and just letting it push in, getting a pretty strong minion lead here. Unfortunately, Katarina was able to get away. The Warwick wasn't able to catch her, but all in all, it was very worth for us considering we got the kill in the ADC. And once again, it was me picking up the kill, which is fortunate or unfortunate, depending on which way you want to put it. I would say that I felt like I was had high potential to carry this game, so I didn't feel too bad about taking the kills. And at this point, the Vayne is just relatively far behind in terms of both CS, XP, and just like ability to do damage in general. And see, this is what I was talking about earlier. When my ADC is not in lane, I just like to snipe all the CS I can get. Actually, I was pretty surprised that one hit. Yeah, as you can see, guys, right here, I'm able to just chunk the ADC so hard that she's really unable to stay in lane very long, even to CS. I haven't committed at all. This is not an all-in. I've just been throwing out Qs and right clicks, and she's just been completely chunked out, and this is very dangerous for her to stay in lane right now, actually, which honestly is just one of the advantages of playing AP support. Now, we did miss the ult there. I could have potentially gone with my ult, but I underestimated my damage, I think. I wasn't positive I could kill her. Now, at this point, definitely, I did anticipate a flash, but I anticipated the flash backwards rather than to the side, which is a good juke by her, I would say. So actually, I misplayed here. I thought I should have realized that the jumped flash that way over the wall. I did have my flash still. I could have easily ignited him. We did find the Vayne here, so we did get the return kill. The kill we originally were looking for here. And actually, this turned out very well because for some reason the Katarina decided to go in. I guess they didn't realize the Warwick was here. And we actually were able to pick up a twofer here on both the ADC and the support. Here we show a Trinimir, so I throw out some mines just to CC him up and keep him away from our jungle. He's actually relatively strong at this point in the game because he was able to free farm relatively well in top lane. Right, so some of the mistakes I made there were I didn't ignite the E. I should have known he was going to W. I should have flashed over the wall immediately, considering the position he was before he flashed. He disappears, so I got a little flustered. With regards to the Vayne kill, that was a lucky pickup. Same thing with the Katarina kill. They decided to walk into us as 3 when they were on just 1. So all in all, just some bad decision making from them and some slow reaction from me, but overall it still worked out okay. So at this point, I'm trying to hold back until my ult comes up. So I'm trying not to fight, but looks like my team is committing to this pretty hard. And luckily, this is a pretty good position for us because all of our team is here and it's only 3 of them. So actually, I completely whiffed my ultimate, which is highly unfortunate, but it ends up not mattering too much. And so the Vayne here ults relatively late, which I think is a mistake. I think she should have ulted at the beginning of the fight and trying to go for me, which is a lot of the damage. And considering I'm thinking the most squishy target on the team that does the most damage, relatively speaking, of course. Of course, I wasn't able to see exactly what she was doing, but if I were the Vayne, I think I would have gone ultied and tried to go under the cover of my tank, maybe Yasuo, something like that, and just gone for me. Because at this point, I would say that I'm just more of a second mid. So since I'm so squishy, I'm a very easy source of damage to shut down if you just get focus me. Which I would say is one of the disadvantages of Ziggs support, is that while you are relatively strong for a support, you are still a support. You don't have as much resources to work with as a mid player, for example. So you will be much weaker. You will not be able to duel, per se, unless you get very far ahead, which at that point the game is probably over anyways. But your dueling potential is relatively weak, so in the end you're still more of like a backlines artillery support rather than a full out like damage player where you can go to the front lines, which I would say as an AP mid you wouldn't want to do that either. Anyways, we're trying to siege mid now that the bottom tower is down. It's really difficult for us to say that. It's kind of dangerous for us to keep pushing in with just by 2 of us. So I decided to come mid. I made the call to take down the mid tower. And actually ended up working out relatively well. We were able to chunk down the Yasuo enough so that he was able to have to go back to base. So he wasn't really able to defend this very well. I guess he tried to stay for a little bit, which is a mistake on his part. Now, I was actually not paying attention to the map here. I should have seen the Vayne and the Katarina coming from the back, which we could have gotten a much easier, cleaner kill on them. It ended up working out fine. But that was my bad of being surprised by that when they were coming in from the back there. Which is honestly poor choice of pathing from them, considering how far ahead we were. And so here we are taking down the mid tower. We're trying to dive in here. We see the Trinimir. We all saw the Trinimir from the bush there, so we knew he was going to come in at some point as we started this fight diving mid. So I focused on taking down this tower with my W, which is honestly a really strong skill for things like this. And so after that, we were just able to, easily clean up the fight. They just try to commit in a bad spot. It's like basically chain feed. It's not exactly chain feeding, but it's the same concept where they try to just went in one by one, and it was just not a very organized or clean fight for them at all. See, one thing I have neglected to do in this game is use my summoners very frequently. I wouldn't call it a mistake per se, but I would say that I forget as a Dota player that I do have these summoner spells at my disposal, and as a result I forget to use them a lot. I guess that means I will always have them up when I do need them. Like here, for example, I actually make a huge mistake here, thinking that I could kill this blue buff. I actually missed my Q there as well. It was a miscalculation from me. I was trying to steal the blue from the Yi, but he shows up, and unfortunately I'm unable to get the blue, and I've wasted my flash and my ult. So minor misplay from me. But I do have a lot of gold at this point to work with. 6-0 and 5 at 18 minutes. It's a pretty good start for Ziggs support. So at this point, I'm probably thinking, just want to keep pushing in towers. Unfortunately, my ADC does get caught here, which is not a big deal. But the one thing that the one small misplay here was he got queued while he was Eing. So I would say that either wait for the Master Yi to Q before you E and flash, or try to go into the bush and dodge his vision so he can't see you trying to E, so he can't like predict it and follow you through your one of your flashes. It was actually my mistake to come to the bot lane because guys can't see the minimap, but the minion wave is actually pushed very close to the enemy tier 2 tower. So there's actually no reason for me to be here to defend the tower. But luckily, me being here does actually prevent this opportunity. I was able to get this Katarina kill right here. It's a nice pickup for me. And the Yasuo actually, for some reason, decides to go in thinking that he can 1v3 for some reason. 1v4 soon. So he runs this way, which means that he's basically guaranteed dead. And, it's just another pretty clean pickup for us as a team. Yeah, pretty easy kill. I'm able to get the kill. KS, if you want to call it that. But now that we're in this position, it's very good after we got this pick off that we can just push the next tower. It's actually a very convenient kill. Now, Tryndamere is a little bit problematic for us because of his damage and Undying Rage. I'm able to nuke him down, so if he just decides to dive the back line here, I'm actually able to time my Q relatively well here, throwing it out right as his ult ends, so I'm able to snipe him off there. And yeah, generally so, the Katarina actually dies to my Ignite, so it's a pretty good kill there. So yeah, our siege power is relatively strong, especially with my Satchel Charge, able to blow up the tower just like that. Or straight up pushing the tier 3, going high ground now. We're not scared at all, honestly. And the Yasuo using his wind wall just for one Ziggs Q is relatively wasteful. At this point, I'm able to just poke him down pretty hard. I don't know why he decides to third Q the bush there. And at this point, actually, I'm able to get a clean pick off on the Yasuo. He walks right into my ultimate. So having that pick off on the enemy mid is very good because we're able to now push the tier 3 without worrying too much about getting killed. So now it's just a matter of a slow siege. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of good siegers considering we have only one ADC, like ranged AD character. I'm more of an AP siege, so it's not really siege. It's more just like... Now here's a huge mistake made by me. I take 3 tower hits in a row, and this lets the Mastery to jump in and just snipe me right there. I would say that's a positioning error on my part. If I had stayed back and not been so greedy to try and KS, I would have definitely lived there. And I think that was actually very important because later on in the game, I make similar mistakes where I get greedy for kills and I move forward a little too far, let my HP drop too low, whether I'm taking turrets, just getting hit by skill shots, not sloppily, not dodging. Things could potentially have gone very bad right there, but luckily my team was able to, just pick up whatever return kills they can get after my death, just straight up back. Now the Tryndamere is, I'm trying to backdoor here, but I would say in situations like this, backdooring is not efficient. You want to sort of like split pushing and backdooring is very much a question of opportunity cost. And I would say in that case, him split pushing rather than joining his team. I'm unsure if he was alive for that fight or not, but his decision to split push here was relatively ineffectual. He was able to take down one T3 tower, but it's unlikely that his team will be able to push out in the near future. So I wouldn't say that was a great trade for him. And at this point in the game, we're sort of just taking over in terms of objectives, towers, kills. There's not much they can do to fight against us. And same thing with this dragon. Basically, there's no way that they can contest us considering the damage that we have, the advantages we have. So easily we take a nice Infernal Drake, which really amps up our damage considering we have a lot of damage-focused champions on team other than tanks. Now, the mistake this Yasuo makes is warding the bush right there, right after we take the dragon. I would say knowing the position of the enemy team there means that you should definitely back off from mid lane. Especially when a team takes the objective, their next goal is either probably just to directly go for a pick off, like as a group gank since you're already grouped up. So I would say that was poor decision making on the part of the Yasuo to try and like not really face checking, but very close to face checking the bush right when the enemy team is very nearby. So as you can see, this is really the power of the Satchel Charge of Ziggs, is that you can take down towers relatively easily. And the Katarina just gave up on life right there. Now here's actually where something bad happens. This would be a classic example of greed. Our our mid decides to go for a YOLO play, and the main problem with this is that I was unable to see the Trinimir coming. He came in from the back and he was able to get onto me, and also the Master Yi was able to Alpha Strike my ultimate, which is well played on his part. And same with the Trinimir coming in from the back where I wasn't paying attention, but basically we get completely destroyed because our main scissors of damage are super quickly nuked down after we fail to pick off the Yi. And the Yi is able to actually do so much damage because of our failed attempt to just dive him. Mainly I would say I ulted too quickly. I should have predicted that he would Alpha Strike right after being taunted, because many players, they panic when they're being CC'd, chain CC'd, and they'll spam the Q. And so they'll Q the first moment they get out of the CC if you don't chain correctly. And so I should have anticipated that he was going to Q right after the taunt from Galio ended and ulted a bit afterwards. So yeah, just small misplay from me. The Vayne here stays a little too long and actually ends up being caught by us. I would say mainly it's because of our Cloud Drake buff that we're able to catch up to her. And yeah, so it's a good pickup for us, but this Vayne isn't really impactful this game, so it's not a huge deal that it's a small kill lead for us. And yeah, at this point we're trying to think about what to do. Since you guys can't see the mini-map, at this point right now the top tier 1 and tier 2 are still up. So basically top lane is not pushed in at all. We actually lose our mid and top right here for a YOLO play. We were trying to do group up for Baron, but after that it's actually not possible, so we try to just back off right there. But in our attempts to back off, actually they come in and try to stop us. So actually we get a little spooked and they try to fight, so actually it ends up quite well for us. The Trinimir is quite annoying. He's actually able to ulti off my ult. But overall it's a relatively good trade for us, considering that we were 3v5 or 3v4-ish, I would say. We were able to pick up some kills, sort of balance the scale so they can't really take Baron, or relatively lucky that we weren't wiped there. I would say mainly I underestimated the damage of our Warwick. Early game, his performance was relatively lackluster. And it was his first time playing Warwick, so it's understandable that his mechanics and general hero understanding were not amazing. And it worked out okay because he ended up getting a lot of kills in the end, and as a result, he was able to actually do quite a lot later in the game. And yeah, we can see some flame towards the Vayne in the chat. I would say that this is not entirely justified. I would say the Vayne played all right. Of course, she didn't play extremely well. I wouldn't say that's Gosu level or anything, but I would say that a lot of the problems that she faced this game were because she was sort of, how to say it, she got screwed over in the laning phase quite a bit, especially because of a lot of deaths and getting poked out of lane by yours truly, the god of Ziggs. So, here we try to go assault the mid again, using the advantage of our mega creeps. And I would say at this point, we should notice that the inhibitor is almost respawned. So we do try to push this as quickly as possible, but so there's actually quite a bit of a chaotic fight here, and unfortunately, we do lose our ADC here, but we are able to sort of clean up the main damage choices on their team. And I thought I was safe here. This is a huge mistake from me, and this almost cost us the game actually, where I get too close to the Katarina. I underestimate her damage and really just let myself get picked off very quickly, which is a huge detriment to our team considering what happens, you'll see in a moment. So actually we get a bit cocky here, and instead of finishing the game, we just taunt outside their fountain. And as you can see, in a few moments we'll see the enemy inhibitor response. And now we're just holding our dicks in our hands, just standing outside their fountain awkward. And so unfortunately, we are unable to finish the game here. We do get a ward dropped here, which is excellent for TP purposes, but unfortunately we're unable to finish the game. And well, things could have gone extremely badly. They are able to clear the wave considering they have a lot of damage. I would say they have a very full damage team here. And here we have just some little trolling for fun. So the problem mainly with our situation here is that it's very difficult for us to close out the game, considering how tightly they're going to be turtling inside their base. So we decided to take the Infernal Drake, but we realized that because we're here, they're probably taking the Baron right now, and so we decided to head straight to the Baron pit. Now our main idea here is to create space for the Singe to TP in and backdoor the enemy Nexus. So what I need to prevent is them recalling. So with that in mind, we head directly over to the Baron pit. Ideally, we could have tried to stop the Baron or steal the Baron. Now here we can see what I'm trying to do here is hit as many people as possible with as many skill shots as I can to cancel the recalls. And actually, it works out quite well, canceling all the recalls. And you know, by the time that anyone's able to get back, Singe is able to finish off the game, and we can see it cracking up right there. Honestly, we're just really relieved that we didn't throw the game completely away right there. It's quite a hilarious ending to the game. So many throws, and you know, it's quite a spectacular ending. And this is my first S+ on Ziggs support, so quite happy with that, getting a box. So testament to the OP power of Ziggs support, to be honest. So we can see actually in terms of KDA, the Warwick actually really picked it up coming towards the end of the game here. Really made a strong impact in terms of champion kills. And well, generally just pretty well played. We had good coordination from our side. So I open up the chest and it gives me some trash Rammus skin I would never use, so instant disenchant. I would say the overall takeaways from this game, I would say are, as Ziggs, positioning is incredibly important. You have to play, I would say this applies for any Ziggs, is you have to play very much like an ADC, in that your positioning is incredibly important so that you don't get one-shotted by the enemy ADC or something like that. One sec. What's up, Tom?
Going to lunch?
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, we can see here that we got damage charts. Actually, got the most damage on our entire team. So, you know, just shows how much a support can really do. More a fake support than a real support, but even as a support, if you pick the right one, high impact champion like Ziggs, you can really, you know, impact games, carry games. Even if the ADC is, you know, lackluster performance. I would say on both teams, the ADC was unable to do a lot. But anyways, pretty fun game. Almost threw it away. Could have been disastrous, but you know, we made it happen. Anyways, thanks for watching this replay analysis. I will see you guys next time.